Hello, this is the Ramblings of an Indisciplined Mind podcast for Monday, August 1st, 2016. As of this recording, Sierra is still missing. So I was watching a newish, well, I don't know if it's new to me, video game playthrough. And it was for a game called Inside. And the video series was done by Ghost Robo. Now, Ghost Robo is the guy that I watched that did Journey, and I think he did Ori and the Blind Forest, I think. He definitely did Journey, the Journey one I watched. And I was kind of looking to see, all right, what other cool stuff does he have? And came across this one called Inside. And something about the artwork looked kind of interesting. It is by a company called Play Dead Games, and it's another one of these two-dimensional type of games, in that you're just going left or right. Every now and then you might go up or down or whatever, but it's mainly just a side scroller. You're going from one side to the other. There's no cutscenes. There's no story like a lot of games will have. I mean, you literally once it loads up, you've got this. You start off and you're in this scene in the woods, and it looks like an animated kind of thing. It's all very not quite black and white, but very muted. Earth tones. And then on the left side there's like this little rock outcropping, and then this boy comes sliding down this rock outcropping to stand there, and he's got on some sort of gray slacks on, and he's got a red shirt on, and he's got like dark hair, and the face has no features. That's pretty typical for any of the humanoid people there. There's really no features on the face. And that's where the game starts. I mean, you start off with this boy, you know, the red of his shirt is for the most part the only color in the game. Every now and then there might be a splash of color, but it's pretty rare, and it really stands out because of it. And so you start off, you're going through these woods, and you've got to cross a log bridge at one point over a ravine, and then you get to the point where there are some humans. Like there's a truck that's getting ready to pull out from this one road, and the truck's driving away, and then you come up to some other men, and you kind of drop down. You get this little drop off. You go down this drop off, and they hear you, and you've got something you got to hide behind. And they got flashlights. It's dark out. It's nighttime, and if they see you, they'll shoot you, and you're dead. And it's really aggressive as far as you know, how much do you have to be hidden? Like there was at one point when he was hiding from these guys with the flashlights, he was behind this thing, and for most video games he was behind it enough, but he had just enough of himself sticking out that one of the guys with the flashlight saw him and came around and shot him. And it's interesting because you don't really know what's going on. You start off, you're avoiding these men that are looking for you in this wooded area. It's fairly tense because once you realize that, you know, hey, you've got to keep hiding from these guys. There are a number of things where, you know, you have to cross something that will put you in their field of view, and then you've got to get hidden and totally hidden quickly, or you're dead. And then you start getting into, you reach this industrial complex, and there you run into some things like there's these little hats you can put on or helmets you can put on, and there's all these brain dead adults around, but if you put this hat on, you can then control the brain dead adults to do things like lift open a door that's too heavy for you to lift by yourself. And so there's a lot of puzzly kind of stuff going on. You don't really understand what's going on as far as a story, but you can tell that they're doing something to kind of make this army of controllable people. There are people that are in charge, and then there are people that are basically kind of walking zombies. They're not really zombies in the classic sense, but they're programmed. They're there to be used like little robots, like little flesh robots. And you as the boy are working through this complex, trying to learn what's going on, but at the same time you're also solving these puzzles, because sometimes you need to figure out a way to open a door or get up to a certain height or something like that. But there's a lot of really things that are scary, but not scary in the sense of boo, but scary in the sense of really being on edge, being tense, being stressful. Like there's a number of places where guard dogs start chasing you, and you're running and usually like there's some gap you got to jump across to get away from them. There's this one spot where the guard dogs, you got like 3 guard dogs, and you've got to break open this little entryway so that you can get through, and it takes multiple attempts to totally open it because it's got boards over it. And so what you have to do is you have to get all the dogs. There's this chain link fence you can climb up and climb over. You got to get all the dogs like right on the other side of the fence, slavering for your blood, then jump off and pull off a board. In the meantime, they're coming around, and then before they catch you, you got to get back on the fence and get up and then lead them back around. And so there's a lot of stuff like that that's fairly tense. A lot of ways to die, but there's also some really interesting puzzles that are fairly unique, I think, in the way that you do things. And also there is, the tenseness just continues on. Like at one point, there's this room and there are these machines with lights, and you don't want to get in the light, because if you get light, you get like shot with a dart that's got a like a cable attached to it. It immediately disables you, and then it starts pulling you away, and you have in essence died there. And they do some really interesting things so as these machines sometimes they're in front of you and they go inside the side. There's one time where they're above, and you got to stay in shadows. And so as the lights move, the shadow shifts, and they do some really interesting things with changing how that shadow shift happens. Holy shit, what are you doing? Sorry. This GT just pulled out, and I thought he was going to plow right into me because he thinks he's on a raceway. Anyway, they do some really interesting things with the shadow, and like there's this one spot where you have something you have to raise and lower, and the light's up at the top, and of course that affects how wide or how narrow the shadow gets, and as it's moving back and forth, that affects how the shadow moves back and forth. So it was really a really interesting game. It's a short game. He did 6 episodes. There are of about a half an hour each, so it took him about 3 hours worth of gameplay to get through it. So not that long. And one of the things he mentioned was, and I won't tell you what the ending is. The ending was surprising. It certainly went into a direction that he didn't expect and that I didn't expect. And it also was a bit open-ended. It kind of lets you draw your own conclusions, just like it has all the way through. I mean, there's not been, one bit of animation one word of text or dialogue that gives you an idea of what's going on here. It's only as you're working through the game, playing and seeing what's happening, and then you draw your own conclusions. And the ending is kind of the same. The ending is also a bit of a troll ending, maybe a little bit. It certainly doesn't wrap it all up in a nice bow, if that's what you like. But when he was playing it, he also mentioned that this company, I guess a few years back, came out with this game called Limbo, which I actually saw somebody guess that actually Inside might be a prequel game to Limbo as far as the storyline. And I went and looked for it on the 360. It's old enough. I think it came out in 2010 or something like that. And it's on the Xbox store. It's only $10 there. I actually looked at Amazon. You can get it for a little bit less there. But they had a demo you could play. You play like the first 10 minutes of it. And I played it, and it's interesting. It starts off kind of similar. You're out in the woods. It looks a little bit different. It is totally black and white, but it looks more like maybe a pencil drawing with some watercolor kind of fuzziness to it, or a charcoal drawing might be the better way to think of it. So it's got a bit of a different look to it, whereas Inside was much more clean edged than Limbo is. At least for the first 10 minutes, there's zero color. It's all pure black and white. But it was an interesting game. Once again, you're kind of going through a forest kind of setting, and you've got bear traps, which just you're once again playing a kid, although you're just a silhouette kid. But you can see the eyes. You got like these dots that are the eyes. And if you get in a bear trap, it just literally chops off your head. And then there is at least one terrifying spider. I mean, this thing is, Shelob kind of size, and it's just kind of hunkered up in a tree. And if you get too close, a leg will come out and stab at you. And that was kind of terrifying. So I played through the demo. Like I say, it was probably about 10 minutes worth of gameplay. It was pretty fun. That might be a game I might have to pick up. It's obviously one that won't take a real long time to get through. But if you're into those kind of games, check it out. Once again, it is Playdead is the game studio. The games are Inside and Limbo. But I think I will let that be that for today. I will be back tomorrow, and I'll be talking to you then. So, be seeing you.